Hi, my name's Christopher Anatra. You may know me as the Quantum Businessman. I'm very happy and excited to be sitting down with Cynthia Sue Larson. We are in Ketchum, Idaho at the West Coast Mandela Effect Conference 2019. This is really a very special time talking about Mandela effects and all different types of things that affect our reality and our consciousness. So I have some questions for Cynthia. First of all, Cynthia, tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Oh yes, I've got a degree from UC Berkeley in physics, and I've organized conferences, Foundations of Mind conferences, having to do with consciousness and quantum physics, and that's my primary area of interest. I also write books on the subject. The most recent book was called Quantum Jumps.
So consciousness and quantum physics. Okay, so this is a topic I want to ask you about. I don't know how many people you've spoken about this openly about, but I'm really curious about time travel. First of all, what would you tell our audience about time travel in general? What advice would you give? Is it possible?
It is possible. And actually, it's intrinsic to quantum physics itself that there's definitely a retrocausal quality to all of quantum physics. What that means is, often in regular layman's terms, we think of cause and effect, and we tend to think of an arrow of time where the cause must precede the effect. Therefore, the cause happens earlier in time, but that's a subjective experience. So if you actually ask any physicist, what is time? That you may think we know what it is, you may think there's an absolute definition. That turns out to not exactly be the case. And there's even a discrepancy between the present moment, between physics and psychology, for example. So there's a lot of open territory, ripe for exploration in the fields of consciousness, quantum physics, and this whole idea of time and time travel. But implicitly, we're all time travelers because we're all moving through time. We don't tend to think of it. We think that we're the same person we were just a minute ago. But is that really true? And I say, it's not really true.
You are absolutely correct. Okay, that's awesome. So, from my understanding, the way we experience time, it's described as linear time. How would you describe linear time?
Well, when you look at linear time, then you've compressed basically 3 dimensions into 2 dimensions. We know, one thing we know about space-time, it's got to have at least 4 dimensions. So we're not looking at lines at all when we're talking about time. And that would be just a simplification, if you will. However, it's a word that people use because it's simple. So it's easy for people to think of a timeline. However, as I'm saying, that's not really what's happening.
Okay.
Space and time go together. You've heard of the curvature of space-time that Albert Einstein showed, and you might remember some of the imagery where gravitational places like the Earth or the Sun, something of great mass, can create kind of a depression, if you will, in the space-time, curvature of space-time. So we are aware of this, and we put it into our 3-dimensional way of thinking, but actually it's 4 dimensions at least.
Very interesting. So, from what you said and from your book about reality shifting, let me ask you a basic question about time travel. Let's say I'm running late for an appointment, which often happens, and it's going to take me 45 minutes to get there, and I know I'm going to be at least 20 minutes late based upon the way things are going. Is there something I could do to help solve that issue?
Yes, and
yes.
This may be a surprise. For you in particular, yes. In general, it's possible. It's a case-by-case situation, so a lot of people might say, I've tried it, nothing happened.
Okay.
But that would simply be a matter of alignment of all of themselves. So this is a matter, because when we look at ourselves, who are we? And if you've got the intention, I'm running late, that's great. But in order to experience the kind of time shift you're talking about, which is time travel, it's a compression of time in a sense, going farther in less time than should be possible. And this turns out to be something a lot of people have done and are doing. And the way to do it is to recognize, first of all, I need to be there in a short amount of time, but I don't have that much time.
Okay, so the need is
The need
first
has
thing.
to be there. You
The
have to
need
really
has-
feel it.
Okay.
It can't be a fake need, like they're expecting me or I'm supposed to be there.
Okay.
That's not real need.
Okay.
And you may think, oh, that doesn't matter. Oh, yes, it does. This is where anybody who's had mind-matter interactive retrocausal effects would be someone who's very focused, who understands the importance of bringing that feeling of absolute need together with just this beautiful, peaceful sense of love and complete focus of intention on what you're visualizing. Like, I need to be there, I see it, I'm going to be on time, I'm going to show up on time. And just feeling this love and a sense of real need. It can't be anything less than that.
Very interesting. I'm going to have to practice that. I know a lot of times I feel that time slips by. I'll look at the clock, it'll be 1 o'clock, I'll do something, and then it's 3 o'clock. I often experience losses of time. How would you explain what's happening there?
Well, this is a normal human experience,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Okay.
But it's fun. If it's happening, the good news is you probably are enjoying what you're doing. So there's some good news there. And often we get into a meditative state of mind, and the more you enjoy what's happening, then the faster time can seem to go. Time is very subjective. And even in physics experiments, we haven't yet found any way to factor that out and remove that quality. We set our clocks based on, to some degree, subjective time, what we're experiencing on the surface of a planet Earth.
Okay, that makes sense. And I've heard people mention where they don't know how they got to an appointment so quickly, or it was a certain time and then they know they needed more time for something and they're able to get that time.
Yes.
So what you're saying, definitely, I've heard that anecdotally, but it makes sense that it could be possible. You just have to have that need and the desire.
Absolutely. And I've gotten dozens of reports that I've published on my website, realityshifters.com, over more than the last 20 years of people that are quite credible to me that have experienced this very thing.
Okay. So let me ask you a difficult question. So let's say there was something that happened in our past that we're not happy about, and we want to be able to figure out a way to go back and change that or do something different. What would your advice be for that type of a situation?
Well, my basic advice is, again, to start with that sense of internal need and love and focus. And this is inner work. There's no way to skip that step. A lot of people write to me and they get the idea that they can change the past. They want to do it. They just want to push some magic button, follow some magic recipe, just follow the basic steps. They ask me, what are the steps? Unfortunately, it's much more of a personal practice of getting to a state of integrity within oneself, which is really a spiritual practice, absolutely. So I would recommend, it's going to sound ironic, but accept what seems to be the case. And even more ironic, find gratitude for what appears to have already happened. And this is totally a spiritual practice.
That's a good point, to find
Yes.
gratitude
Oh, yes.
for what's already happened.
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because I think a lot of people might be looking for the technological answer,
Oh, yes.
because we're all used to having apps on our phone and,
Right.
et cetera. So is there an easy way I can press a button and technology can send me back in time, et cetera?
I don't think so. I think there are technologies that are in the works. I'm sure there are, but I don't know anything about those. And I wouldn't recommend them even if there are. Because I think that if we go back and we haven't addressed the underlying issues, then wherever you go, there you are. And even if you think, well, I'm going to fix it this time, there's probably a lot more than just that one thing to work out.
That makes sense. So that's really good advice. So when it comes to time travel, a spiritual practice is really where it's at. It's also the safest way to go as well. Can you imagine having technology and then it fails? That's not good. You go to a time where it can't be replaced or whatever it is. So absolutely, like the spiritual way is definitely the way to do that.
Yes.
So on another subject, what do you think about this whole Mandela Effect conference?
Oh, I love it. I've been waiting my whole career for this. So this is the best weekend of my life. I'm thrilled that there's so much interest, so much enthusiasm, so many great speakers like yourself who are bringing forward ideas that I think are new for so many people, yet at the same time relevant, because this is truly a global phenomenon where people are noticing that the facts, the histories are not matching what they remember.
Exactly, exactly. And I could tell just from talking to the people that were here, they're hungry for answers. They can acknowledge that the Mandela Effect is happening right in front of them. It's not slowing down. And it's not just the big things, it's the small personal little Mandela effects too. that make people think, what's going on? So it's all tied into us. How would you describe, what do you think the purpose is of the Mandela effect?
I think, I think you hit it on the head in your talk when you talked about a great awakening, that we really are waking up to the fact that we've been asleep. But when you recognize it's possible to dream in your sleep, that's the key. And then you can become lucid, you can become sentient, you can become aware. And that's, I think, what is happening with these conversations, the great talks that are happening, the invitation to ask questions. Because when you ask those questions, you do get answers. And to share what each of us are experiencing on our personal journeys. It's been absolutely fantastic, wonderful experience.
It has. It really has been a great experience. And I want to thank you for helping to organize this, and looking forward to more Mandela Effect conferences. And anyone in the audience, if you're watching this, and then if you're also going to be watching any of the presentations, know that it's not going to end here. There's going to be other Mandela Effect conferences happening across the country and probably across the world as well, because it's a worldwide phenomenon.
And one more thing, if people are making fun of it, because a lot of people that are starting to experience this, it's hard to talk to your friends and family. And there's a tendency sometimes that people say, well, I know that's not true because I'm an expert in this field. And we've been talking about why sometimes the experts are not going to necessarily see the same changes that we do. And there's an explanation in physics for that as well.
Right. I just want to say something funny. I thought it was interesting. At one of the panel discussions, Shane was talking about, I think it was his brother that was experiencing Mandela effects, but he was figuring out a way to make money at it when he would go to bars. Like to ask someone, do beavers have orange teeth? Like, I'll bet you $50 if a beaver has orange teeth, and people will be like, no. And you could show them, hey, beaver. So some people are using Mandela effects to that kind of advantage, which is not recommended. But Cynthia, I want to say thank you very much for this little sit-down talk, and looking forward to many more.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.